Hello, welcome to our next segment of Ann Hazelwood's wonderful book with The Adventures of Lily Girl. I'm Ann Denton from Paducah, Kentucky, Quilt City USA, and I hope that you all are enjoying these book chats. Please be sure and make comments if you have any questions or anything that's going on in your life with these books. Let us know. Don't forget, you can still buy the special set of 5 books from AQS at one low price, so order yours today if you haven't already gotten your books. The quilt behind me today is quilted, it's Bear's Paw, and it's quilted again by Linda Baxter Lasco, are made by and quilted by Judy Woodworth of Gearing, Nebraska. So you can see all of these different red and white quilts, which Ann Hazelwood and Lily both love most. Well, in finding out what's going on in the book, you know that Lily buys the yellow house, and she's able to do so because of the money that Rosie had left for her that she found in a cookie jar. Mark has been helping her. They've gone to another baseball game together, and he's helping her with legal questions about the purchase of this yellow house and giving her ideas. She's had dinner again with her friend Alex and her sister Lynn on the hill. Lynn isn't talking much about her relationship and what's going on in her life with Carl, and Lily is just being very supportive for whatever she decides to do. Customers come and go as she opens her shop, and she realizes this is just the joy of owning your own business. Sarah tells her mother that she is pregnant with a college professor, but he's already married. But she's not interested in marrying because he doesn't want a divorce, and she wants to raise this baby on her own. So her mother hates the situation but loves her daughter. After Sarah visits with Ann, Ann gave her a baby quilt. And I looked through my stash and collection of quilts, and I have 4 baby quilts that I want to share with you all. And these quilts don't have any real sentiment to me. I bought them either at the AQS show from a vendor, or I purchased them from one of the auctions benefiting the Quilt Museum. But they are lovely quilts, and they run the gambit of dinosaurs to a very, very old-fashioned picture. So if you enjoy looking at baby quilts, let us know in the comments. Nick asked for the gallery showing with Lynn's shop, and he's come around again a couple of times, but one time he asked Lynn to come to a gallery show, and she goes just to meet him there, and he never shows up, and she never hears. Well, a couple of days later, she gets a phone call late at night, or a text, saying that he was sorry that something came up, but he has cancer. So she doesn't know what that situation is, but she does relent to go to dinner with him in one of the nice restaurants. As she goes to dinner, he has the convertible top down, and he's being very laissez-faire about how he's driving on these winding roads. And before they ever get to the restaurant to have dinner, he stops at 2 wineries and drinks too much wine. Lily is very concerned about going back down these winding roads to get back to her house, and asks for him to take her home. As they're going back home, they round a curve, and the last line is everything went black. If that's not a cliffhanger to get you interested in buying the next book, I don't know what would be. Don't forget, we're going to have the second book in the Wine Country series next week on June the 4th, so be sure and make comments about what you think about the book and the next pages in the book, and how you enjoyed the surprise ending in this first book. In looking at the red and white quilts, I was interested in hearing that the red dye process came from the country of Turkey, and that's why the color is called turkey red. It was color fast, and they were not sure how that was done, because in the late 1800s we were not producing any colors with dyes with beets and different things and coloring the quilts. that didn't run or bleed. So turkey red is prominent and maybe one of the reasons that Lily and Ann like the red and white quilts. Well, today we have the honor of having Ann Hazelwood, the author of this quilt series, and she's going to talk to us about the book, and we will talk about how we have known each other. And it's good to see you, Ann. You look wonderful in your red. So,
oh, thank you. Hello, everyone, and hello to you, Anne. It's such a pleasure watching what you're doing all the time with the book club, and I'm so honored to be a part of that. And yes, we have known each other quite a while, and I was always so happy that you were pleased with my books. And here we are in AQS Book Club.
well, I hope you'll forgive me for constantly calling Lily Ann. I bring that up. It seems like I do that very often, but
It is everyone, yeah.
In my mind, you are a Lily.
Well, and I have to put myself in that role because when I first, think about what I'm going to write, I really have to engage in the moment. I have to know what's going on, what they're thinking, what they're saying, and then I put that into words and then an outline and then into the computer. And then it's rewrite. So that's kind of the process. So I truly do have to be engaged.
Well, I know that you also have three sisters, as Lily does. Do you draw on experiences with your three sisters for Lily's sisters in the books?
Well, I think some of them, being the youngest of five in the family, I related more to the little sister that didn't know as much as they did and kind of had to follow along and didn't want to be too much trouble and that sort of thing. But yeah, there were times I would use some things, but it's a wonderful thing to have sisters. And unfortunately, mine are no longer with me and I miss them terribly.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'm the middle of three girls, so I'm supposed to be the perfect, well-rounded personality, of course, and I remind my sisters all the time. But I had one 4 years older who did not want me in her life, and one 3 years younger who wanted to tag around with me. So it would make it a little easier raising my boys in realizing exactly how they felt about their space in the family. So life experiences count.
It makes a difference. It really does. And we were all quite different. I mean, just like Lily's sisters, but we were very close. And I think that is very special.
How did you end up getting into the shopkeeping world in fabrics and buttons and quilting?
Oh dear. Well, I was a home-based business long before I had my store. And I lived in a wonderful historic area of St. Charles and always wished to have my own business to do what I wanted to do, because at that time, there weren't quilting supplies and things that were readily available for what I was doing. I was basically kind of a hippie, beatnik kind of person with long braids and making patchwork skirts and things that, young women weren't supposed to be doing. And so when I had an opportunity to have a shop on Main Street, in 1970, I took advantage of that and had a wonderful 30-year run with 3 different stores. So it just sort of evolved. But as I often say, quilts are my love, but writing is my passion. So I guess I sort of lived out my dream.
Do you quilt?
Oh, I love to quilt. Yes.
Oh, good.
I love to quilt. I taught quilting lessons in my store for many years, but as business evolves, you can't be the maker and you're emptying trash and doing other things. But yes, I love to quilt and I love handwork. So I'm big on red work embroidery, which fits right into my red and white quilt collection. So yes, I love to do it, but now, with producing 2 books a year, I have to be cognizant of my time. And so I'm mostly writing.
Well, I knew that you had been a quilter. I didn't know if you were still actively quilting, but if you're doing
Very little.
all red and white piecework, that's easier to lug around when you're traveling and when you're
Oh,
writing.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm always doing something. In fact, I just finished a piece called Quilted Snow, and you're going to hear more about that piece in the next series, which is going to be taking place in Door County, Wisconsin. And the main character is a painter slash quilter. And one of the pieces she's working on is something called Quilted Snow, because it's in the dead of winter in Door County, Wisconsin. And so I wanted to create that piece. So I did work on that this winter.
Wonderful. Well, some of the questions that were sent in to you,
Yeah.
can you tell us more about your button shop and the little ghost girl who frequented the shop?
Well, I inherited her when I took over the store. My landlord told me there was a little girl about 6 years old that had died in the fire in that particular building, and that she was very mischievous. I didn't need to be scared, but that she definitely would let you know she's there. So that's exactly what she did. And we had a glass display counter in the store that carried, that showed a lot of antique sewing tools, including a child's sewing machine. Well, every day when we would come in, that entire case was always messed up. I mean, it was like somebody was rearranging things. And so that was one of the most significant things she would do on a regular basis. But other things like I couldn't have anyone really clean the store in the evening because she would have a tendency to come behind them and knock things down as they finished
Were you
dusting.
scared at first? Were you scared?
No, because we knew that some things could maybe happen, but they were very just mischievous. They didn't happen that often, and it was just kind of a fun thing for us. She's written up actually in several ghost books
What?
of her existence.
And you said that some of the other shop owners on the street also had ghosts visit their
Yeah,
stores.
it was no big deal. And one of the books I wrote in the Colbridge series is called The Ghostly Quilts on Main.
Yes.
That book really goes into all the ghosts that we have on Main Street. And it's kind of no big deal. And I think that's why I'm so comfortable writing about those spirits, is because um, it's just something that you can ignore, something you can have fun with, or but certainly not have to be scared of. And so it's a very comfortable thing for me to write about.
That's wonderful. What about what are you doing now besides writing 2 books a year and traveling and judging? What are you doing for fun in your spare time?
You do know there's a pandemic going on, don't you?
Yes, I do. I do.
Well, this is supposed to be wonderful for me because I guess it's supposed to give me more time to write. But I'm like everyone else, I have to be diversify myself a little bit. But I'm doing a lot of writing on the front porch or outdoors, or just something to diversify my activities. But I'm doing what everyone else is doing.
Sitting home, I don't watch the news very often. I read a lot.
I
I have
I agree.
never cooked so much since my boys were living under this roof.
I know. And
But
anybody that knows my characters and me, I do not enjoy cooking. So this has been, a challenge, trust me.
well, some of our restaurants are opening back up, but David and I aren't comfortable yet to go into the restaurants. So we
I'm
have got
right with you.
takeaways.
Yeah, we have tried to support as many as we can on the street with pickup deliveries and so forth, and of course that helps me out. But we will get through this. And I am so blessed in hearing from a lot of my readers right now, because they're telling me how my books are helping them get through this. It's taking them into another world, and of which they can engage in from what's going on. And I find that to be the same. It takes me out of what's going on right now by writing what's going on in the other world. And I have to be so careful I don't write a virus into this series.
Well, you know, one of the things that we have found is we have bought gift cards from local restaurants, and
Right.
they can be used in the future or given as gifts, but it gives some cash to the shop owners who the
Absolutely.
restaurants. So that's worked
Listen,
out.
I was a shop owner myself, and I can't even imagine the horror I would be going through right now if I had my stores.
Well, people have come to the front in a lot of ways to help. So we've been very blessed in Paducah with um, making allowances for the restaurant workers. A huge gift was sent with the GoFundMe that one of our candidates for mayor has done. So we've been very,
Ah,
very fortunate. Well,
good.
what can we look forward to in the next book in the series that we're enjoying at this time?
Well, you have just finished for the Love of Quilts, and so I follow the seasons if you kind of notice, and so I think Lily Girl's Christmas quilt is probably number 2, if I'm getting this right. And so I love Christmas, and it shows. And after writing my first Christmas book in the series, which was in the Coalbridge series, it was called The Coalbridge Christmas. I realized how much I had to say about Christmas, you know, because I was always active in events and I love to decorate and I just love the whole season. So you'll be hearing about this wonderful Christmas quilt that Lily comes in contact with. And of course, that little town of Augusta does some wonderful things, wonderful Christmas walk you're going to be hearing more details about. So I've experienced these things. Almost everything I write about, I know it's supposed to be fiction, but most of the time I've experienced these things. I've been there. I know what it feels like, tastes like, smells like, hears like, and Christmas is so fun.
Well, let me apologize to you in person for calling Lily Ann so many times in my comments,
No,
but I
no.
think so much of you when I'm reading about Lily. So I apologize, but I think it works well. So
Well,
I'm
they love Lily. I mean, it's amazing. I know of several places that have started a Lily Girls Book Club, a Lily Girls Quilt Club. They seem to all engage with her in many ways. And the fact that she deals in antiques and quilts gives them, or they get to hear about different things that sometimes will educate them, some things that are fun. And as a retailer, I am able to share so many retail stories that are actually true in the storyline.
Well, I'm enjoying them. I'm rereading them and I'm enjoying them so much. And I think so many other people are, and that's wonderful. Do you want to say something about the quilt behind you?
Oh, well, I've had this at least 20 years when we moved into this house, and it was made by Lynn Anderson. Um, I'm sorry, Lynn Eisenberg is her name. Haven't seen her in years, but she was doing some pretty fun contemporary things years ago when many people were sticking to traditional patterns. And my den where I'm sitting is all in red, white, and blue. And so I love this piece. It's a little more on the contemporary side, which is what my husband really loves.
Well, it looks to me like an hourglass, a bow tie, a guitar. I see so many things in the shapes, but it's a lovely
Yeah,
quilt. Thanks for sharing
yeah,
it with us.
yeah. So I thought, okay, what should I wear? I guess I'll wear red. So,
Well, I'm wearing a red, white, and blue scarf because of Memorial Day, so
yeah.
we colored up for the event. But we had several people send in questions, and would you
Mhm.
like to have me pick a number, and I will draw something out and see who our winner is at this time?
Oh, sure. A number between how many? Like just pick a number?
1 to 53.
Oh, my. How about 22?
Okay, doke. Number
How fun.
22 is Sharon Johnson Revick, Revick.
Very good.
Congratulations. And you'll be getting a signed autographed copy of Ann's book and one of the bookmarks that she has done for this series. So congratulations to her, and thank you,
Yeah.
Ann, for all the things that you have done for the quilt world.
Well, thank you. And keep up the good work. I'll be watching.
Okay. Nice to chat with you. Have a
You
nice
too.
day. Well, I hope you all heard and enjoyed seeing the real Lily girl, Ann Hazelwood, with our book chat today. Ann has put lots of labor of love into writing these books, as you can tell. The next time, be sure, read the next 100 pages of the second book in the series. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it and share it with friends. Make comments, and if you make any comment on this particular page, you will be eligible for a drawing of another one of Ann's books and her famous bookmark. So make sure that you do your comments. Thank you for joining us. Ann Denton, Paducah, Kentucky, Quilt City, USA.